Welcome, I'm Curious Dude, and in this episode, I'm going to give you an update about the original owners of Van Gogh. So thanks for watching, and let's learn some more. So it's been a while since I've provided an update about the bus, and I must say there's not a ton to update on because the engine's out at the shop being rebuilt. The seats are at an upholstery shop being redone with some great covers from no longer available Volkswagen in the UK. And so it's also a time of year where I live, everything is frozen. There's snow everywhere, it's cold in my garage, and so it's just not a great time to work. However, over the Christmas holiday season, I went out for coffee with John, and John was the fourth owner of Van Gogh. And you know, he's an older gentleman, and we try to get together every few months and have a visit. And while we were having coffee, he recalled some information about the bus that led me to think about trying to find as much history as I can about the original owners and about the owners in between them and all the way up till John and myself. And I was shocked about how much information I was able to find out. And so I just can't wait to share it with you. So let's follow along. So first thing, the original purchaser of the bus, his name was Harry Cannon. He lived in the community in which the bus has spent its entire life. And Harry had a young family, preteens and teenagers. And he had gone to an RV show at a local hockey rink here in the community. It was called the Crushed Can. And while there, he saw a variety of RVs and motorhomes and different things. But he was really taken by this Volkswagen option. Economical, seemed to have enough space to be able to go camping. And so he went down to the Volkswagen dealer in the community, which was called Reedy Motors. And they told him, well, you only got a couple of options. I think one was a blue color and one was brilliant orange. And it's obvious what Harry chose, of course, with the brilliant orange Westfalia. So on June 11th, 1974, Harry took delivery of his vehicle down at Reedy Motors and began the adventure of this bus. So they didn't wait long to go on a big adventure, let me tell you. So I was able to get in touch with Harry has since passed on, and I was able to get a hold of his kids, and they were so open to sharing stories about the bus and sharing pictures, and I just can't wait to share these with you. So the first year that the bus exists, in early July, Harry's three children, their teenage son and two younger daughters, take a grand adventure all the way to Expo 74 in Spokane, Washington. So they leave where I live in Saskatchewan province in Canada, travel south into North Dakota, South Dakota, a little bit of Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, over to Oregon and up into Washington State. So they truly did a grand road adventure to christen Van Gogh. And they ended up in BC and then made their way back home. But in fact, you know, that wasn't the first adventure that the bus, or the only adventure the bus would have in the first year. In fact, later in August, Harry would drive all the way from the middle of Canada to the west coast on Vancouver Island, Victoria, to pick up a relative and return them home. And here's a great shot of Harry with his relative on the ferry there on the west coast. So very cool. Great thing about a bus is I have the original owner's manual, and so we'll take a little look at all the data that's in there. That's pretty neat. So one really cool thing about having the original manual is just there's some neat history in here. Well, first of all, we see the last name of the original owner, but as I've shared in some other videos, we had his name and address. We have the, matches the VIN number of the car, the selling dealer, the delivery date, some other personal data. There's a few notes in here about mileage, but this is really, I think, the cool thing about the early life of the van is that, we can see here it was set for dealer inspection or delivery inspection, June 6, 74 with 23 miles on it. Then if we look down here, well, it looks on June 27th, 74, there's 875 miles. So that was a busy couple of weeks putting on, over 800 miles, and had an engine and transmission oil change. Then on June 27th, what else did we have? We had first maintenance service, no charge. And you can see underneath it, Reedy Motors and the address here in the community. And so the clues get even more interesting as we go down here. So, okay, so this is on, as we were talking about, July 15th, 74. Mileage is at, what is that, 2424. and it's the 3,000 mile service. And you can read, it's hard there, but Rushmore Volkswagen in Rapid City, right? So that tells us a little bit about that journey. 6,000 miles was reached on August 9th, and it was in White Rock, British Columbia. So that's on their adventure as they're coming back through the U.S. Also had, they also had done an oil change. So this is just a diagnostic check. And then we're back, and then the rest of the service history takes place in the Moose Jaw area. But, you know, you can track the mileage and the dates. So here we are, November 19th, 11,000 miles. And, you know, and so the story continues. But it allows us to get a good sense of the life that the bus had. And it had 24,000 miles when he sold it. Likely it would be the summer of 76. It's the last entry. And I do know in speaking with the second owners that much of the history is not recorded. Now, sometime after 1974, it appears that since Harry was a farmer in the local area as well, he used to use the van often to drive on gravel roads to get to the farm. And Harry's son mentioned that, you know, he likely had the engine replaced at some point because the gravel, you know, and the dust was just too hard on the engine. So the case numbers and everything seem to be correct for this bus. Looks very original. However, we'll never really know for sure if it's being replaced or not. The Cannon family did some more adventures up in northern Saskatchewan, Riding Mountain National Park, and they're located in Manitoba, a province nearby. But around 1976, early 77, you know, it just proved that the Westie just didn't have enough power for what the family needed, and they needed a bigger, more luxurious option. So they bought a Ford truck with a 460 and a camper unit to replace what is really an underpowered vehicle that we know. So some great photos. Hilarious story about Harry is that he also had a place at a local lake, and he wanted to tow a boat with it. And he did tow a boat with Van Gogh. So take a look at this photo. It's just a timepiece. Harry's son told me that actually Harry had hoped to get a custom boat in the same colors with the orange and the plaid interior, but it wasn't available, so he had to stick with what was available. So lots of cool history. And I just got to say a big shout out to the Cannon family for opening up to me and sharing these photos. They've been just amazing, and the stories. And I just think it's amazing to be able to tell a story behind Van Gogh. And I've been really excited to be able to share that with you. But the truth is that I also have been able to track down relatives of the second owners and the third owners, and then the fourth owner was John. So I have a whole lot more to share with you about that. So be sure to follow and stick around because there's a lot more information to come. Thanks for watching.